Hi guys, welcome to the second ever episode of Hotshot's podcast. I'm Jordan,
I'm Eliezer.
and today we're going to be joined by Andro Cowperthwaite. We're going to be talking to him a little bit about what he does. So he is a musician and actor. He's actually performed in Reading Rep Theatre for Dorian. So when he joins, we're going to talk to him about that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about you. Do you have any new projects coming up?
New projects. I'm currently just in the studio at the minute. I'm just writing potentially my second EP slash album, which will be out either this year or next year. It's still very early stages yet, but that's what I'm currently doing. Yeah.
So obviously you did Dorian at Reading Rep. Talk to us
Mhm.
about your experience and kind of preparing for the role of Dorian. So how was your process when it came to preparing for that role?
Preparing for the role of Dorian, it was a very short rehearsal process, and I actually got the job pretty much like a week before we started rehearsals. And I think we only really had like 2 or 3 weeks rehearsal process, which is quite short in theatre. And also because the script was kind of forever changing. It was a challenge, but I think my personal process is to just kind of read as much as I can about, obviously, Oscar Wilde, and Dorian is a well-known story in itself anyway. So it's just about accumulating as much research and knowledge that I can around that world. But also because the play itself was it was chopping in between 2 different times, and also incorporating some of the modern aspects of like London queer nightlife and stuff like that. So yeah, it was just about embodying how much of Dorian I could, but also what I could galvanize from Oscar Wilde's character, and trying marrying the two.
So I read that you went to drama centre. I've read that they closed down now, but what would the advice what's the advice you would give us for students that are applying to drama school this year? Because obviously we're doing it through self-tapes. So what's kind of like your advice you'd give us for preparing for auditions?
I personally would say choose something that you feel strongly connected to and that really shows off your acting ability. I think one thing that I did organically, which I guess does come naturally to some people and some others, but it's also good to know, is finding a piece that really shows off your vocal quality, your character development, your character journey in one piece of monologue or whatever it is. And what I mean by vocal quality is like if you're able to do accents and you're really good at it, then that's always good. But I think staying in your normal accent, in your native accent, is always the strongest. Something that has a lot of physical character to it, so you can like really physicalize it, because I think they just want to see a lot of diversity and strength. Even if that's a really sad piece, they want to see like your physical and vocal and character strength in just that one minute or 2 minute monologue. So yeah, really trying to find a piece that really is your casting type, but also don't be afraid to take risks with it. I think playing safe is never a good thing. Taking risks is always a good way, because then they will see that you're really taking it seriously and that you have that you've really put thought into the piece that you've chosen.
Mm-hmm. So currently with the industry, like from 2020 up till now, I feel like there's no such thing as normality. We've not really been able to do much in the industry. And now, like, with COVID restrictions finally lifting, being in a place where we are, I feel like it's taken like 360 degrees. What would you say you've felt like working with that?
Um, it's been difficult, definitely has been difficult for a lot of people during the pandemic and whatnot. I think for me, as like working in the industry and not being in training anymore, one thing that I've tried to keep it afloat is making sure that my presence is still seen in the industry. So that can be either, obviously things are lifting now, so classes and meetings are going ahead, but during the pandemic I found myself doing more one-on-ones with casting directors, or trying to do some readings with other actors, and there's always things like that you can find on Instagram and Twitter and, you know, some casting websites, and it's just always trying to just get yourself seen and get in the door somehow, just to keep that kind of like artist actor energy alive. But now that it's getting better, it's the horizon is a little bit more clear, but I think we've still got a way to go because there's still so many restrictions, and I think that work is like happening quite slow, and it's also like a lot, even in the music industry as well, there's, you know, things are going ahead and then things are getting cancelled or postponed. So if you're in this industry, it's tricky, but you've just got to keep going.
What's your favorite part of performing or just acting or singing? What's your favorite part about it?
My favorite part, I just think I love being on stage. I think I love the adrenaline rush. It's an escapism from reality, because I think life is quite boring without art. So yeah, it's the escapism, it's the adrenaline rush of being on stage. It's you know, delving into another character's world. It's embodying that and physicalizing that and telling a story.
So what was the moment you knew that you wanted to do this as a career? Like, what was that kind of spark in your career that was like, oh, I really want to do this?
It's funny because I was thinking about this yesterday. I have a very vivid memory of watching Robin Williams in the film Jack. You probably won't know that film, but it's a really old film, and he grows up really fast, and he was just an amazing performer, and I think watching that film was the first thing that really wanted me to be an actor. But I've done it ever since I was in school, and I've never really done anything else. So that's the only route that I'm going to take.
I noticed in one of your previous answers that you said about getting yourself out there. I think for a lot of people, we look at it as, oh, I've got to go to this audition, I've got to do this, I've got to make these contacts. But I now see that social media is a big way for people to get known, for people to be seen. Would you agree with that? Would you say it's different?
I think social media definitely does help to a certain degree. I know that the industry, especially stateside, are becoming a little bit more, what's the word? Trying to think of the word. They're looking at people who have like big followings, or who are verified, or people on TikTok who have a, you know, quite a large fan base. And even though that is happening and it can be quite disheartening to a lot of people, I think that shouldn't deter anyone from wanting to do it, because there is a lot of really talented, driven people out there. So yeah, social media can help, but I think it's much better to just try and get into the room physically whenever you can. And I'm quite a firm believer on, you know, sending out as many emails as you can, going to as many events, and going to the theatre as much as you can. And I know that it can be really expensive. I mean, it's ridiculously expensive, especially in this city, especially for, you know, people of color and people from working class backgrounds. But just trying to do that as much as you can. And there are always schemes for students and lower income individuals. But yeah, just trying to get to as many of those things as you can. And I personally am quite a introverted person, but when it comes to like my art, I have to be quite extrovert. So in that sense, you really have to find the confidence to put yourself out there in terms of being proactive and speaking to people and standing out as best that you can, because it's a very competitive industry, and it can be very easy to just kind of fall to the waistline. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely.
So would you say going to a conservatoire or a drama school is the only way to get into the industry, or would you say there's numerous other ways to get into acting?
I don't think going to drama school is the be all and end all to get into the industry. There are plenty of amazing actors and performers that didn't go to drama school at all. I would say that if you are able to do that and get into drama school and stuff, then it just gives you that extra platform to be able to hone your craft, and you're then put into a situation where once you're in third year, etc., you'll be in plays, and then you can invite agents and you can invite casting directors, and it's just an opportunity for people to see you, and hopefully get an agent, etc., etc. But obviously saying that isn't the be all and end all, like I said. But if you don't do that, then you really have to, I guess, be extra proactive in, you know, writing to agents and getting seen to get into plays, and short films and stuff, and doing as many student short films as you can, and probably, you know, amateur or you know, low paid stuff that it's always, you know, people are always trying to create. And I wouldn't say, obviously you get to a point where you're like, you don't take unpaid work anymore. But I know for me personally, like when I was first, you know, whilst I was in drama school and shortly after, I was doing, you know, really low budget stuff or unpaid stuff just so I could build the material on my show reel to send that on to people. So all of that absolutely helps, but it's just about being proactive and making the right connections. And yeah.
Okay, so I feel like we've talked a lot about the industry, but now let's get to know you a little bit. So what's your favorite like pastime? What do you do for fun? Like when you're not performing, when you're not making music, what do you do?
Oh, I feel like this is going to be such a terrible answer, but I don't really know if I do anything else. Like, I think that's my own personal demon, is that my work is my life and I don't really do anything else. But I mean, I could say that I sit down and watch Netflix, or I watch concerts and music videos and stuff on YouTube, but at the same time, I almost kind of feel like I'm still working, because all of that is professional development. And if I'm watching that, then I'm analyzing it. And even though I'm enjoying it, I'm like taking notes at the same time. So But I mean, you know, the standard, like going out for dinner with friends, and I mean, I was going to say going to the cinema, but that's the same as what I was just saying. So I'm probably not the best person to ask because I don't do anything else. I'm just writing and recording and yeah, all of that.
Okay, I think that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you so much for coming on and, you know, having a little chit chat with us. We do really
No problem.
appreciate it. So yeah, thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Say that again.
It's been lovely speaking to you.
You too. I hope you have a lovely day, and thank you for having me on.